Good morning. It's good to be here with you once again on this Monday morning. It's also exciting to come away with a victory this past weekend. I played Mississippi Valley State at 2 o'clock for homecoming, and it was an exciting affair. Even though it was a lot of wet weather, we were focused and fortunate to come away with a victory. Our kids played hard, they played well, and they played together. There are several bright spots. Justin Kelly ran the football well. We had 24 first downs to their 13. We rushed for 308 yards. We threw for 260 yards. We had a total offense of 568 yards of total offense, running and throwing. I think one thing that's probably the most important stat for me was 2 penalties for 20 yards, which was also good. Like I said earlier, Justin Kelly had 18 carries for 159 yards and 2 scores. Dre Fusilier finally got an opportunity to play a little bit and got in there and had another 86 yards rushing. And then Martez Carter had 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing and 1 receiving. Jonathan was 13 of 22 for 225 yards. And then you had Chad Williams catching the ball, 5 for 80, and Chester Rogers 3 for 118. There were several defenders that played well also too. Michael Roach had a huge tackle day for us, played well. And then also Tyler Griffin played well also. But for us, it was good to come away with the victory. We're 6-0 at this particular time, going into an open week, which is something that we desperately need in order to get some guys healed and ready to roll to finish this final stretch.
I know on paper you're 6-0. How do you feel going into the bye week? I mean, I'm sure this is probably the best situation you could have envisioned going into the year, being 6-0, going into a bye week.
Right. We feel good. You know, the thing is the good thing about it is we got all of our guys, and we do have some sprains and some guys that are beat up a little bit. And it's going to take this week and a little bit of next week to get those guys back. So it's good to be in this position. It's good to be being chased as opposed to chasing everybody else and really controlling your own destiny.
Coach, what do you tell a team when you're up by that much at halftime?
Well, when we're up by that much, then it becomes a matter of trying to play as many perfect plays as you can play. It's more about the show more so than the victory at that particular time, because you know you pretty much feel that you have the game in hand. So for us, it's about continuing to do what we do and try to eliminate as many mistakes as we can. You know, because you're trying to continue to get better for the next week. So that's one thing that we look at. But then the second focus is to try to get some younger guys in also too, so we can create some depth and create some confidence to make it more competitive in practice.
How do you feel like the younger guys did when you put them in?
I thought a couple of guys did well. I thought we made one really decent throw. I thought Fusilier ran the ball well. One time the ball was on the ground. And then another backup running back put the ball on the ground. That may have something to do with the weather and had something to do with the excitement of having the opportunity to be in there for the first time. But it's always good to play a lot of people. When you get a lot of people in there, it makes practice a lot easier because guys feel that they have a chance to play.
Hypothetical, but if you were to play in a title game tomorrow, what needs to happen? What do you need to improve, even though you are 6-0?
I think we have to eliminate some of those minor mistakes, the fumble, loose balls. There were a couple of drops here and there, but I look at the weather that maybe that have something to do with. But more importantly, I think we got to play better in the kicking game. I think we got to be able to get down and cover a little bit better. And then I think also we got to punt the ball a little bit better than we did also too. We've been in a little bit of slump, you know, punting the ball, and I think a lot of it had to do with the weather.
How much did you need the running game in a game like this?
It's huge. It's huge. The thing that we're fortunate to have is two different style of runners, and I think you have to have that. You know, there are those games when you're spreading people out, and you need the speed, and you need to get someone who can operate in space. But then you have those games like we had on Saturday where you're trying to lean on people and be physical, and I think that's something that we have in Justin Kelly and Martez Carter.
Going into the game, did you think that was going to be the case? I know you probably couldn't predict the weather, but you had an inclination that was going to be.
Yeah, we kind of figured, you know, early in the week that it would be a wet one. You know, there was talks of it, you know, of us being able to play the game, and then all of a sudden the bottom would fall out. But anytime you get in a game, you know, where it's kind of wet and it's kind of one-sided, you got to be able to run the football. That's why it's so important that you balance, because when you run into those games like that, you can still enforce your will on your opponent.
Coach, as a former running back yourself, I know you look forward to days like this when, you know, you get the ball on a regular basis. I know probably the other guys did too. Being able to come in and perform like you guys did, would that be probably your best game played thus far from an overall perspective, or still a lot of room improvement?
I would say if you take away the turnovers, I would say yeah. I would say yeah, it would be, because we've always talked about trying to better our running game, and our running game, you know, pretty much carried us this week, and that's something that we want to get to, where we can be a lot more balanced, and I think we are. You know, if you look at a lot of our games, we're running the ball just as much as we are throwing the football. It's just that when we throw it, it's huge plays, and that's something that we can't control. But we're fortunate to have those. So I will say it is one of our more complete performances. Our kids were ready to play, and our guys did a good job.
Last couple of weeks, you know, we keep talking about Martez and the running game and how he's got a spark, and then Kelly's had a backseat role. I mean, that's kind of what it's been, and then he has his game. How happy were you to see him finally, you know, get his chance and then make the most of it?
Well, I've been, you know, preaching, and he knows this. I've been preaching to him about, you know, I want him to be a 1,000-yard rusher this year, and you know, it's just, you know, sometimes it don't fall that way. Sometimes, you know, a guy break a run, or sometimes, you know, he'll make 3 or 4 really good plays to get us in position, and then he'll come out the game, and then Martez will break one. So it's not really set up that way, but sometimes that's just the way the game flows. And this game flowed, you know, more in his favor, which was good, you know, for us, because we needed him to be that physical presence to really enforce his will on defenses, and you can see them start to soften as the game went on. And I thought he did a really good job of carrying us this weekend.
How would you say he's kind of carried himself over the season, staying in there mentally and being able to ready to go when you call his number?
Well, he's always been in there, and he's been starting for us, you know, for the entire season. I think just like any other runner, there are times where you do get a little bit frustrated, and I think there was a time where he was getting a little frustrated. But the thing about Justin, he's a very intelligent young man, and he understands that you just got to keep plugging, and he kept plugging, and he's continuing to plug. And the thing about him is his attitude is not going to change. You know, he's going to do things a certain way regardless of how things turn out, and I think that's a testament to his success and why he's able to have the type of game that he had. And he'll have many more games like that too.
Last year you dropped a couple at the end of the year, now you're on top.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the team has responded to being kind of playing with the target on the back, as you alluded to earlier?
Well, I think they understand it, you know, a lot more now, and they understand it's not about who we play, it's more so about how we play, and that's just the focus from here on out. This week, our focus is to try to beat open week, and we just want to get better. You know, we want to focus on getting better and make sure at the end of this week we got more points than open date. So that's just the whole focus. And then, you know, later on in the week, we'll start to focus on Texas Southern and make sure that we gain an extra day and be prepared for them next week.
Winning streaks up to 6 games now, how much credit do you give to the defense to help in that?
Well, I give credit to our whole team, you know, because this is a team game. You know, there are times when our offense does something to compensate for our defense. There are times when our defense does things to compensate for our offense. There were several times this year, if you know it, where we turned the ball over and our defense stopped them. And then there were times where offense needed to score or get a first down, and they did that. And then there were times when special teams has had their mark on those performances as well. So it's a total team game, and that's just the way we go about doing it. You know, defense has played well, offense has played well, and in the kicking game we've played well. I just think we need to hone in on a couple things, and I know our special teams coordinators, they'll do that. They'll make sure that we get that squared away. But it's going to always be something to work on. You can be 12-0 as a coach. There's always something that you're not doing as strong as you would like to.
But specifically with the defense, how much do you think they've improved over the last, say, 4 or 5 weeks?
Oh, I mean, tremendous. You know, and I think that has a lot to do with our defensive staff.
Is this the first game where you were kind of comfortable about the turnout of the game and being able to say, okay, well, now it's time to start infusing these younger guys?
Yeah, I don't think I'm never really comfortable, and I know they're gonna laugh, because I'm on the sideline throwing my hat and fussing and all of that, and I guess it's hard for me to be comfortable because my focus is not the score. My focus is how we're doing it, and that's always the focus. So we can be up 7-0. You know, I'm focused on how sharp, how crisp. You know, it's about the performance. It's not about, you know, even though you have to win, you know, it's more so about the performance. So I don't think I'm ever comfortable. I might have a little bit of issue, but, you know, that's just the way I am.